Have you ever noticed how a simple greeting can carry more weight than the words themselves? It's that moment when his eyes meet yours, and something unspoken stirs between you, something subtle, almost invisible, but undeniably present. Maybe you have felt it before, that quiet recognition, like a secret language whispered without sound. Louise Hay once said, "Everything in life is a reflection of the beliefs we hold about ourselves." It's in this reflection that the way he greets you can reveal the unseen truths about how you exist in his world, and even more importantly, how you exist in your own. Sometimes, you might think he is distant, or that his greeting is just a polite formality, a gesture without deeper meaning. But what if that casual hello, that small shift in his tone, or the way he says your name, is really a mirror of the energy you send out? The way a man greets you is a dance of energies, some conscious, some buried in the quiet chambers of his heart. Clarissa Pinkola Estes reminds us that the feminine instinct perceives what is never said out loud. This instinct is a sacred gift, a kind of spiritual radar that picks up on the nuances beneath the surface. Perhaps you have found yourself wondering if you're reading too much into it, questioning if his greeting truly means something, or if it's just your own hopes coloring the moment. The truth is, the subtle cues in his voice, his eyes, his body language, are never random. They are signs, gentle whispers of a fascination that doesn't always translate into grand gestures or loud declarations. They are the quiet invitations, the tender openings that signal you have touched a part of him that is usually hidden even from himself. This video invites you to slow down and tune into those delicate signals, to read the spaces between the words, and to honor your own intuition when it tells you there is more beneath the surface. It's not about chasing or demanding proof of his feelings. It's about recognizing the emotional space you already occupy in his being, even if it's unspoken and uncertain. When you learn to see yourself through this lens, you begin to shift the way you perceive not only him, but your own worth and presence. You might feel a tightening in your chest as you recall moments where a greeting felt different, warmer, softer, lingering a little longer. That feeling is real. It is an echo of your own light touching his darkness, a silent acknowledgement of the connection that exists beyond words. And sometimes, the way he greets you holds the promise of something deeper, not because of who he is, but because of who you are when you stand fully in your truth. This is the beginning of a new way of seeing, a gentle awakening to the power that lives in your presence. When you understand that his greeting is a reflection of your own energy, you reclaim a part of yourself that may have been lost in years of doubt, rejection, or unspoken longing. It is an invitation to trust the wisdom of your heart and the strength of your own being. Because the woman you are becoming is not waiting for validation outside. She is already known and felt, even in the quietest moments of hello. And so, let us begin this journey together, with open eyes and a tender heart, to learn how to read the unspoken language of fascination, to recognize that sometimes the softest greetings carry the loudest truths, that sometimes being seen starts in the smallest moments, in the way someone simply says your name. His eyes often speak before his words ever have the chance to. There is a way men look when something or someone truly captures their attention, a subtle search, a softening of the gaze, a kind of quiet longing that slips out like a secret message. You might notice his eyes finding you across a room, or lingering just a moment longer when you speak, as if trying to hold on to something just beyond reach. This gaze is not merely about attraction. It carries a depth of fascination, an unconscious pull toward the energy you embody. It's as if his eyes tell a story that his voice cannot quite convey, a story of curiosity, admiration, and perhaps even a touch of vulnerability. That look can catch you off guard, because it is not always easy to see or understand. You might think he's just being polite or glancing casually, but if you listen to the silence between those moments, you'll hear the truth in his gaze. It's an invitation to see beyond the surface, to recognize the unspoken connection that draws him closer. Louise Hay teaches us that love begins within, and when your energy shifts into a space of self-acceptance and light, it naturally softens those around you. His eyes may soften because your presence calls forth a tenderness in him, a momentary disarming of the usual defenses. This is no accident. The magnetic pull between two souls is subtle but powerful, weaving an invisible thread that connects more deeply than words ever could. Sometimes the eyes reflect not only desire, but also a hesitation, a quiet reverence for the woman before him. It's the delicate balance between wanting to reach out and fearing to break the fragile space that exists. You might have felt that hesitation too, the gentle dance of approach and retreat that holds so much meaning in its silence. His gaze, when it finds you with such intensity, reveals that beneath the surface, something in him recognizes the significance of your presence. There is a sacredness in that look, a mirror reflecting not just his feelings, but your own awakening. When you catch his eyes searching for you, it's an unspoken acknowledgement that you have carved a place in his inner world, even if he cannot yet name it. This silent communication is an offering, an opening that invites you to meet him not just with your eyes, but with the whole of your being. And as you hold space for this delicate exchange, you may begin to sense that his gaze is a response to the light you have cultivated inside. It is a reflection of your growing power and the courage it takes to be seen fully. The eyes that seek you are not merely observing. They are reaching toward the truth of who you are, a woman who no longer waits for permission to shine. Perhaps you have noticed that sometimes this gaze arrives unexpectedly, a quiet moment in the midst of noise, where time seems to slow just enough for you to feel seen in your entirety. That feeling, subtle yet profound, is a reminder that even in moments of uncertainty or silence, your presence commands attention. It reminds you that fascination is not about grand gestures, but about the small, sacred ways we acknowledge one another's existence. And if you listen closely, you might hear the soft echo of your own truth reflected back through his eyes, that you are worthy, that you are wanted, that you are enough, just as you are. There is a quiet magic in the way his voice changes when he speaks to you. It softens, slows down, becomes gentler, as if your presence melts away some of the hardness the world has carved into him. Louise Hay often reminds us, loving energy softens even the hardest hearts. When he lowers his tone, it is an unconscious offering, a subtle surrender that reveals his vulnerability and his desire to be closer to the warmth you radiate. You may have noticed this softness, even if it was just a fleeting moment, a hushed syllable, a gentle inflection, the tenderness that sneaks into his greeting when he thinks you are not paying attention. It is in these small shifts that true emotion hides, beneath the surface of words. His voice becomes a channel for something deeper, something too fragile to be shouted aloud. It's a whisper from his soul, carried on the currents of his breath. This gentle change is not about the words themselves, but about what those words carry. They carry the weight of unspoken longing, the pull of fascination that stirs quietly inside him. The way he says your name may linger just a moment longer, as if tasting the sound, honoring it as something precious. That small act speaks volumes. You matter, more than he can say outright. You might feel a subtle tremor in your own body in response to this, a recognition perhaps that his softened voice is not just about him, but also about the space you hold between you, a space charged with possibility and quiet yearning. His voice reaching out softly can be a balm for the wounds you carry, a gentle invitation to step closer into your own power. And if you listen closely, you may begin to understand that this tenderness is a reflection of your own shift, your growing capacity to hold space for yourself with kindness, to embrace your own vulnerability as a strength. When you greet yourself with gentleness, the energy you send out changes everything. It ripples outward, softening the edges of even the hardest hearts around you. There is something sacred about these moments, these delicate vibrations in his voice, that mirror the quiet courage in your own heart. It is as if the universe is conspiring to show you that connection, fascination, and tenderness do not require loud declarations. Sometimes, they live in the softness between words, in the spaces where two souls silently acknowledge one another. In this way, his softened voice becomes more than a greeting. It becomes a bridge, a thread weaving together your presence and his response. It carries the promise that you are seen, that your energy moves him in ways he may not fully understand. And in that, there is a profound beauty, a reminder that fascination often speaks in whispers, and that your own light is enough to draw it forth. Sometimes the way he greets you carries a tenderness wrapped in familiarity, revealed in the simplest of ways, the nicknames he chooses to call you. These names, though perhaps small and seemingly casual, are far from accidental. They are secret codes of emotional closeness, quiet signals that speak of a desire to build a connection beyond the surface. When he calls you by a gentle nickname, even if it feels ordinary to others, it holds a world of meaning between the two of you. There is a softness in those words, a kind of warmth that can melt through years of guardedness and pain. It's an invitation into intimacy, a way to weave his presence closer to yours without needing to say it outright. These nicknames are not just words. They are threads that tie your stories together, little echoes of affection that linger in the spaces between you. You might wonder why such small gestures carry such weight, why a simple change in how he calls you can stir so much inside. The truth is, these are moments when his heart speaks quietly, when his subconscious reveals what he might be too cautious to express openly. There is a vulnerability in this choice, a willingness to be seen in a way that is tender and uniquely yours. This kind of emotional code is a subtle declaration. You are different. You are someone who has moved past the casual and the indifferent, someone who has touched a part of him that is reserved and rare. And in this quiet naming, there is a recognition, a reflection of the space you have carved in his world. The power of these words is also a mirror of your own openness to be known and embraced for who you truly are. When you allow yourself to be seen fully, nicknames become tokens of belonging, symbols of a connection that honors your essence. It is the gentle acknowledgement that you are not just passing through his life, but that you matter deeply. And as you listen for these delicate signs, you may begin to feel a shift inside, a softening of your own defenses, a readiness to receive this kind of quiet affection. It's an invitation to honor the small moments, to recognize that sometimes the most profound expressions of care are whispered rather than shouted. In those tender syllables, you may find a new kind of safety, a reassurance that the fascination he holds is not just about admiration, but about a deepening bond. A bond that speaks softly but carries the weight of something real, something that grows in the spaces where words fall short. His smile often reveals what his words keep hidden. It is rarely a simple gesture, automatic, or casual. Instead, it carries the weight of an involuntary truth, almost shy, hesitant, and deeply human. This smile that breaks through the usual barriers is not something he controls. It slips out before his mind can catch up, a silent confession that betrays the fascination he feels. You may have noticed how his smile changes when he looks at you. It softens, sometimes falters, or even turns inward, as if he's caught between wanting to express something and holding back. That smile is a language of the body, speaking louder than words ever could. It tells you that, in that moment, you have touched a part of him that is tender and genuine. There is something sacred about a smile that appears unexpectedly, that carries an edge of vulnerability beneath its surface. It is a reminder that he is more than the face he shows to the world. Beneath that exterior is a heart that beats faster when you are near, a soul that responds to your presence with a mixture of awe and hesitation. Sometimes, this smile comes with a quiet tension, like a secret shared only between you two. It may feel almost like a breath held in anticipation, or a pulse quickening in the stillness. This involuntary response is a sign that his body and spirit are aligned in a rare moment of truth, revealing a fascination that is as honest as it is fragile. You might sense this smile lingering in your memory, a small but powerful imprint that reminds you of your own light and presence. It is a mirror reflecting the impact you have on him, even when no words are spoken. And in this reflection, you may find a quiet reassurance that you are seen, not just with the eyes, but with the heart. This smile, shy and real, is a glimpse into the depth of his feeling, an invitation to witness the unfolding of something quietly profound. It is a soft confirmation that your energy has touched his world in a way that cannot be ignored. There is a subtle way his body leans toward you even in the briefest moments of greeting, a movement so small yet so telling that it escapes many notice. It's not a calculated act, but a natural pull, a silent gesture that speaks louder than words. His inclination is a quiet confession that you hold more significance than mere politeness would allow. You may have felt it in the air, the slight shift as he tilts toward you, the way his shoulders angle in your direction, as if drawn by an invisible thread. This lean is a language of its own, a form of unspoken communication that says, "You matter more to me than I may openly admit." It reveals a heart willing to close the physical gap, to bridge the distance not just in space, but in emotional presence. This body language is a vulnerability wrapped in strength, a paradox that embodies the masculine spirit when softened by fascination. It is a gesture of invitation, of readiness to connect, and sometimes even of quiet longing. When he leans in, it is as if the world around him narrows, focusing entirely on you, on the woman who has ignited something deep within. You might notice this in moments when words are scarce, when the greeting is quick, but charged with unspoken meaning. That subtle movement can hold more truth than 1,000 spoken phrases, because it comes from a place beyond the mind, from the raw landscape of feeling and desire. And when you recognize this inclination, you are witnessing more than just a physical gesture. You are glimpsing the opening of his heart, a softening of his defenses, and a recognition of the space you occupy inside him. This lean is a silent promise that you are not invisible, that your presence moves him in ways he may not fully understand or even admit. In this quiet closeness, there is a sacred energy, a tension of nearness and restraint that pulses with possibility. It is an intimate language, one that honors the delicate dance between two souls, beginning to acknowledge their connection without words. He often seeks to anchor your presence with a subtle touch, a brief graze of the arm, a gentle hand on the shoulder, or a tender brush of the hair. These small gestures are rarely accidental. They are unconscious needs to connect, to hold on to the warmth you bring into his world. The touch, light as a whisper, carries a depth of meaning that often goes unnoticed by those around you. There is a sacredness in these moments, as if his fingers reach out to tether his wandering thoughts back to you, grounding his attention and feelings in your shared space. These touches are not demands, but invitations, quiet affirmations that say, "You are here. You are real. You matter." They bridge the silent spaces between words, translating unspoken emotions into physical language. You may recall times when such contact felt fleeting yet charged, leaving an imprint of comfort and longing on your skin. It is a reminder that beneath his exterior, beneath his carefully constructed walls, beats a heart yearning for closeness and connection. This delicate need for contact speaks of a vulnerability that often remains hidden, a longing to be seen and felt in ways deeper than conversation allows. These small touches do more than communicate attraction. They are a sacred thread weaving your energies together. They help him feel grounded in the presence of your light, anchoring his spirit to yours, in moments that transcend ordinary interaction. The physical connection becomes a way to express what words cannot, a desire to hold space for you, even briefly, in his world. And as you become more aware of these gestures, you begin to feel the depth of his fascination, not as a grand spectacle, but as a quiet, persistent pull toward you. It is an invitation to recognize the power of presence itself, the profound impact of touch that carries the weight of unspoken feelings. This need to touch is not just about him. It is a reflection of the sacred exchange between two souls, each seeking to honor the other through subtle, tender connection. It is a reminder that sometimes the smallest contact can carry the loudest message. Time seems to stretch and bend when he greets you, as if the moments between hello and goodbye are pulled by an invisible force. He creates subtle pretexts to linger longer, to hold on to the presence you bring, even if only for a breath or two more. This elongation of time is not a coincidence. It is the unconscious expression of a heart caught in fascination, a soul reluctant to let go. You may have noticed these moments yourself, a pause before turning away, a lingering gaze, a slow step that matches your own. In these small extensions of time, there is a sacred dance unfolding, a dance where his desire to stay connected quietly resists the demands of the outside world. It is as if time itself becomes pliable in the presence of something precious, bending to accommodate the unspoken yearning between you. Louise Hay's wisdom reminds us that energy flows where attention goes. His elongated greetings are a channeling of his focus, a way his being stretches to hold space for you. The masculine energy, when enchanted, often loses track of time, swept up in the magnetic pull of the feminine presence that moves through the room with grace and strength. This stretching of time is also a mirror reflecting the growing tension within him, the pull of wanting to be near, paired with the caution that keeps him from rushing forward. It is a fragile balance, one that speaks of vulnerability wrapped in restraint, longing shadowed by hesitation. You might feel the weight of these moments in your own body, a slowing of your breath, a softening of your heart, as you sense his reluctance to part ways. It is an unspoken conversation held in the space where minutes stretch into eternity, where every second is charged with possibility and unvoiced hope. And in this quiet expansion of time, you are invited to witness the subtle power of presence, the sacred pause that speaks volumes without uttering a single word. It is a reminder that fascination is often not about grand declarations, but about the lingering moments that echo long after the greeting ends. He watches you even after the greeting ends, as if reluctant to sever the invisible thread that connects you. His eyes linger, tracing the outline of your presence, holding on to the moment when you were near. This gaze after the farewell is not simply curiosity, it is a silent yearning, a psychic footprint of a desire that goes beyond physical proximity. You might have sensed this in those fleeting seconds after goodbye, when he seems unable to fully turn away. There is a delicate hesitation, a quiet unwillingness to let the connection dissolve into the air. Clarissa Pinkola Estes would describe this as the psychic trail of someone who desires you at the soul level. It's a subtle imprint left in the space you shared, a lingering energy that calls back to itself. This act of watching is more than observation. It is a profound recognition. It speaks of the emotional space you occupy inside him, a place where fascination and respect meet quietly. It is an acknowledgement that you are not easily forgotten, that your presence has stirred something vital in his being. You may feel the weight of this gaze, even when he is not physically near, a reminder that the connection lives beyond the immediacy of the moment. It is a soft echo that follows you, a trace of the impact you have made simply by being yourself. In this watching, there is also a hidden invitation to see yourself as he sees you, as someone unforgettable, as a woman whose light cannot be easily dimmed. This is the silent language of fascination, spoken not through words, but through the depths of attention and presence. And when you recognize this lingering gaze, you are invited to honor the sacred space it creates, a space where longing and respect coexist, where the soul quietly reaches out, even in the absence of words or touch. If his behavior shifts uniquely for you, if his tone, gaze, or mannerisms seem to soften only when you are near, it is because you have already carved a sacred space within him that no one else occupies. This change is not a coincidence, nor is it luck. It is the reflection of your authentic self stepping into the light, whole, present, and magnetically true. When a woman allows herself to be seen fully, without masks or compromise, she shifts the energy around her. This presence invites recognition that goes beyond superficial encounters. It touches the core of those she meets, awakening fascination that is not about possession or fleeting desire, but about deep respect and quiet admiration. You might feel this in the subtle ways he behaves differently with you, how his defenses lower, how his focus sharpens, or how his energy seems to ripple in response to your own. It's as if you are speaking a language only the two of you understand, a dialogue of soul and spirit, beneath the surface of everyday interaction. Louise Hay teaches us that love begins in the mirror. When you honor yourself, when you see your own worth clearly, others cannot help but reflect that back to you. Your authenticity becomes a beacon that draws those who recognize the power in your presence, those who are moved not by appearances, but by the radiance of your being. This unique space you hold within him is not something to chase or demand. It is an offering born from the courage to be fully yourself, imperfect, vulnerable, and real. And it is this courage that magnetizes fascination and respect, inviting a connection that is both profound and lasting. As you step into this truth, you begin to understand that the way he greets you is a mirror of the woman you have become, a woman who no longer waits in the shadows, but stands boldly in her own light, unafraid and unshakable. Love begins in the mirror. What you see in yourself, others cannot ignore. These words from Louise Hay carry a deep truth that resonates through every silent greeting and every glance exchanged between two souls. The way a man greets you is never mere formality. It is a reflection of how your energy moves through his world, how your presence stirs something beyond the visible. Clarissa Pinkola Estes would add that women who honor themselves become unforgettable, even to those who don't know how to handle that much light. There is a sacred power in a woman who sees herself clearly, who holds her own light without apology. This power draws fascination not because of vanity or need, but because it radiates a truth that cannot be ignored. When you recognize that the way he greets you holds this deeper meaning, you begin to see that the true invitation is to look inward first, to understand that fascination starts not with him, but with the woman you are becoming, whole, present, and sovereign. It is in this self-honoring that the magnetic pull grows stronger, not through effort or chasing, but through the quiet power of authenticity. The greeting becomes a mirror, reflecting back the woman who no longer seeks validation outside herself. She no longer chases or pleads for attention. She simply observes who approaches her with reverence and who slips away unable to bear her light. This discernment is an act of love for herself, and love for the sacred connections she chooses to nurture. You may feel a stillness settle within as you absorb this truth, the stillness of a woman who knows her worth, who walks with quiet confidence, and who understands that every greeting she receives is part of a larger dance of recognition and respect. It is an invitation to step fully into your power, to let your energy speak its truth without apology or doubt. And so, the way he greets you is not just about him. It is about you, the woman who has risen from pain, who has learned to honor her own reflection, and who now holds space for a love that mirrors the depth and beauty of her soul. If this message speaks to your heart, I invite you to subscribe and continue this journey with us. There is much more to explore, much more to awaken inside you. Click on the next video to continue learning how to embrace your power and receive the love you truly deserve.